The story of Adam and Eve is one of the most recognized narratives in the Bible. It remains one of the least understood psychologically. Many people imagine Eve's decision to eat the forbidden fruit as a simple act of disobedience. But when we analyze this moment through the lens of human psychology, we discover layers of motivation, emotion, and cognitive bias that mirror struggles we all face today. First, we need to understand the environment Eve was living in. The Garden of Eden represented perfection. No fear, no shame, no threat, no scarcity. Modern psychology teaches that when a person grows in a safe environment with no exposure to deceit or manipulation, they're more vulnerable to persuasion. Eve had never experienced a lie before. She had no mental categories for deception, betrayal, or hidden motives. In psychological terms, her cognitive innocence made her extremely susceptible to the serpent's influence. Next, consider the serpent's strategy. It didn't begin with a direct temptation, it began with a question. Did God really say? This is classic psychological manipulation. Instead of attacking, the serpent planted doubt, and doubt is powerful. Cognitive scientists explain that once uncertainty is introduced, the brain starts searching for alternative explanations. The serpent wasn't just questioning God's words, it was triggering Eve's internal curiosity, a natural human response designed for learning and growth. Then, the serpent shifted the conversation from doubt to desire. You will be like God. This is where psychology becomes even clearer. Human beings are drawn to self-expansion, the desire to grow, to understand more, to rise above limitations. Eve wasn't trying to rebel. She was responding to the promise of becoming more. This is what psychologists call aspirational temptation, when a person is lured not by pleasure, but by the possibility of gaining wisdom, meaning, or personal evolution. The serpent also used a technique known as cognitive reframing. It reinterpreted the fruit not as something forbidden, but as something beneficial. Suddenly, the fruit became good for wisdom. This reframing changed Eve's emotional perception of the object. Modern behavioral research shows that when emotions around an action shift, our judgment shifts with it. Eve began to see the fruit through a different lens. Not because she wanted to disobey, but because her understanding of its purpose had been manipulated. Let's go deeper into the psychological moment of decision. The text says, Eve saw that the fruit was good. This indicates a cognitive shift from external command to internal reasoning. She moved from God said it, as forbidden, to I see that it seems good. Humans often rely on personal reasoning, especially when external instructions appear to conflict with internal curiosity or perceived benefit. Eve was experiencing what psychologists now call cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort of holding two conflicting ideas. On one hand, obedience, on the other, opportunity. When discomfort arises, the mind looks for resolution. Eve resolved her dissonance by choosing the interpretation that seemed beneficial. In modern life, we do the same. We justify behaviors by telling ourselves things like, it won't hurt, no one will notice, it seems harmless, we deserve it. Eve wasn't acting from wickedness, she was acting from a very human psychological conflict. After eating the fruit, something else happened, awareness. The Bible says their eyes were opened and they felt shame. Shame is one of the most primitive and powerful emotions we experience. It is the sense that we have violated something central to who we should be. Shame triggers physical reactions, raising heart, desire to hide, fear of exposure, exactly what Adam and Eve felt. What's fascinating is that shame appeared not because God condemned them instantly, but because their own internal moral compass awakened. Psychology shows that moral awareness often comes after a boundary is crossed. We learn through experience, sometimes painfully. Eve and Adam suddenly understood the weight of choice. When God called them, their response mirrored common psychological defense mechanisms. They hid a behavior rooted in fear and guilt. Adam blamed Eve. Eve blamed the serpent. These reactions reflect externalization, the instinct to protect the self-image when facing consequences. Their minds were trying to shield their identity from the impact of moral failure. This story, viewed through psychology, becomes more than a narrative about disobedience. It becomes a mirror reflecting our deepest human tendencies: curiosity, vulnerability, the desire for growth, susceptibility to persuasive voices, internal conflict, and the heavy emotional cost of crossing boundaries. Eve's decision wasn't merely an act of rebellion, it was a profoundly human moment, filled with cognitive pressure, emotional influence, and psychological complexity. When we analyze it this way, the story is no longer distant or ancient. It becomes a timeless exploration of the human mind, illustrating struggles we all face every day.